What's going on YouTube? Lumpy Scammer here, and today I promised you a video about Nephalem rifts. Now I already have a video out about bounties and what those are all about. And once you get your riftstone key fragments, you're able to open up a rift, and this is where you open up the rift. It's called a Nephalem obelisk. So once you have the 5 rift keystone fragments, click on this, a new event will start, and a portal will open. Now before I hop into that rift there, I kind of wanted to show you this new pet build that I've been working on, and it mainly revolves around this helmet that I found here. If you notice in the orange writing down there, it'll say pets deal 88% more damage. Now that is amazing when it comes to doing a pet build. That's almost needed to be able to do one and do one effectively. Now let me show you what skills I have to go along with that. I have my firebomb and my fire bats simply because of this passive skill called Fetish Sycophants. Now, whenever I cast a firebomb or my fire bats, because they're listed there, I have a 5% chance to summon a dagger-wielding fetish to fight by my side for 60 seconds, and those are also considered pets. Now, I can have like 12 of these little fuckers running around with daggers stabbing things, and which is pretty cool. Obviously, for a pet build, you have your dogs here. I'm able to summon 5, and I'll show you why in a second. I have lifelink on here. My dogs absorb 10% of all my damage done to me. Each dog heals me. Each dog deals 12% of my weapon damage and is physical per hit, which is good. For my number 2 hotkey, I have Soul Harvest here, and I'll feed on the life force of enemies for intelligence for 30 seconds, and I gain 2% int for each enemy affected, and they also take 630% damage as physical whenever I cast it. And to go along with my pets again, I have the Gargantuan, of course, here, and I have the Breastless Giant rune on here. Whenever there's 5 enemies or an elite pack, this guy will get huge, gain movement speed, 35% attack speed, 200% physical damage, and it cannot occur more than once in 120 seconds, which is fine. And I got Big Bad Voodoo, and I have Slam Dance on this Big Bad Voodoo, and whenever it goes out, if my allies are in the aura, they gain 30% extra damage, including me, my fetishes, my dogs, my Gargantuan. And for my other passives, I have Midnight Feast. I can have an additional zombie dog out on the field at one time, and the damage for my zombie dogs and my Gargantuan is increased by 50% on top of my Helm's 88%. And then I also have Pierce the Veil here, which my damage increases by 20%, but all my mana costs are increased by 30%, but that's fine, because on my fire bats I have Vampire Bats. And all I have to do is cast it once and pay that 225 mana cost, and then I can just channel it and just hold down my right mouse button, and it'll just keep going, and my mana will actually regenerate. And while I'm doing that, I also have that chance of summoning more of these little fetish guys here. For my 3rd passive, I have an additional zombie dog that can be summoned at one time, and the health of my dogs and Gargantuan is increased by 20%. So as you can see, everything is synergized together to work properly, and that is basically it. What else do I got here that's important? My Mojo here, 28% of the damage I take is redirected to my zombie dogs, so I take 28% less damage from everything. It just goes to them, and if any of them die, I'll just recast them out again. But let's go ahead and hop into this rift. I just wanted to quickly explain the pet build and why I'm doing what I'm doing with it. And what you want to do with this is you want to spam the fire bats as much as possible. You want to spam your fire bombs as much as possible, because those 2 skills will proc the Fetish Sycophants to spawn, and those are really what you want to have running around you, along with your dogs and Gargantuan. You're basically standing back, being the support for these pets of yours. That helm and all the physical skills, that physical skill damage that your equipment can add is very important. There's no point in really doing a pet build unless you have like every piece of equipment stacked with physical skill damage, or you have the helm that I luckily found. I found it and I'm like, it was the same helm that I had before, but I had the set helm version of it, which is probably a bug, and hopefully they don't patch it and mine disappears. But I have a set version of this Mask of Jerem, and then I have a legendary version of this Mask of Jerem. The legendary version has that extra pet damage. On a side note, if you can hear my voice in the background very low, I apologize. I recorded this gameplay and realized shortly after, while I was trying to edit, that my microphone somehow got turned down, and that's why you hear that. That's why I apologize for that. Very unprofessional of me, I know. But in these Nephalem rifts here, you're gonna see that meter, and that meter is gonna go from 0 to 100% based upon how many creatures you've killed, and it'll go up higher if you get a nicely densed mob of creatures and you're able to take them out quickly. You know, your massacre bonuses, your mighty blow bonuses. The more elite packs, the better, because killing elites will make that meter go up even more. And a side version of this build that I'm doing, people will run Spirit Walk instead of the fire bombs. Now they'll run it for two reasons. One's to get to packs of monsters quicker, and the other is to get out of sticky situations if their toughness is low. So I tend to have higher toughness, so I really don't need the Spirit Walk. So I went ahead and chose Firebomb, because that is another skill that procs the fetishes along with my fire bats, and I'm able to destroy barrels and doors and things like that without having to use the mana to recast the fire bats. Even though my vampire bats rune allows me to not to pay for channeling costs, it still costs that initial 225 per cast. But the good thing about the fire bats is, or the vampire bats, is you're like, well, you only cast it once and you're just holding it down. No, it'll keep casting even though you're channeling it. So as you're casting, you keep having that proc percentage to increase. And as you can see here, I'm walking. I'm not finding much of anything. This is like a medium to low populated rift, and we got ourselves a nice little goblin here. Goblins for me never tend to drop a damn legendary at all to save my life, so I'll pick up all the minuscule stuff. You can kind of hear me trying to talk there. I was explaining myself quite well during this whole thing. So yeah, twitch.tv is where I've been spending most of my time, and I highly recommend you stopping over there, hitting the follow button so you know when I go live. I've been going live and streaming on Twitch for the past 2 weeks every day, 3+ hours at a time, unless I got something going on, which I only think there was one instance in the 2 weeks where I was only on for like an hour and 20 minutes. But it's typically at around 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time or so, and if not then it'd be around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, depending on how tired I am when I get out of work and whatnot. So anyway, back to the Nephalem rifts. We're about halfway through, and there's a 25% more chance of legendaries to drop in Nephalem rifts, or so they say. I haven't really noticed much of a difference. If there is any, I tend not to find legendaries regardless. But I noticed something very interesting when I was running in normal mode for whatever reason. Back when I was doing the bounty video, I was finding a lot more legendaries in normal than in torment, and this is torment 1, by the way. And I don't understand why. The only difference is, the only reason why I wouldn't recommend farming normal for legendaries is you don't get the new ones. You get the old ones leveled to 70, but you won't get any of the new cool stuff that they had. And you see, I just clicked that pylon right there. That's what they're called. It's like a overpowered shrine, basically. And there's a few different ones. There's shield, power, conduit, and speed. I think that's all of them. The conduit, it's pretty cool. I think I get it here in a little bit, but it basically shoots out chain lightning and everything, and it kills them like instantly. You can take out packs in like 2 seconds. Speed, obviously, make you run like a maniac. Power makes your blows deal more damage, and shield, for obvious reasons, protects you greatly. Alright, we're going on to level 2, and this is, as you can see, a new terrain. Every time you go down a level in a Nephalem rift, the terrain should change. If it doesn't, it's whatever. It's basically random. This is from Act 5, and this is another one of those levels that isn't too packed out, too densely packed out when it comes to creatures, which is what you really want. Level 3, when I go into next, was the worst out of them all. So I probably should have stuck around this level, cleared it out entirely before moving on. Talking more a little bit about the gear needed, I talked about the Mask of Jerem. You need the 88% pet damage there. I think on my amulet and my bracers I have both 17% extra physical damage, physical skill damage increase there. My damage on my character at the moment is 923,000 with the Pierce the Veil passive. Without it, it'll probably be low to mid 800s. Still shooting for that million DPS. It's still slightly out of my reach. And if I wasn't using this pet build, Pierce the Veil would not be in my set of passive skills, simply because if I wasn't running pet build, I'd be running Acid Cloud build. And Acid Cloud, even though in that build I run my mana conservations, I'd have to make a video on that build, but Acid Cloud still costs a hell of a lot of mana. And if I'm running Pierce the Veil and Acid Cloud costs 30% more, which is the basic skill that Acid Cloud's a basic skill that I spam all the time, I wouldn't be able to do it properly, let alone use Spirit Barrage, which is my primary. I tested that out. I had all my mana conservation spells out. I was doing Spirit Barrage, or Barrage, whatever you want to call it, and even with the rune that adds mana every time I cast or every time I hit, I was losing mana more than I was gaining, and it just wasn't applicable. Didn't make sense at all. So Pierce the Veil is only for those select builds, unless you stack mana regen. So this is really the only build where I'm going to use this. The other downside to this build is you tend to lose healing for whatever reason. Healing tends to go down. Toughness will stay about the same. Damage will increase. So, I mean, but it's a pet build, so you're basically being the support, like I said, for your pet. So you can stand back. You are a ranged character. Witch Doctor is a nice build to kind of mess around with. There's so many different options. This being probably one of the most powerful ones. It's very good against single targets. Very good against elite packs. And if you get enough of those little guys out, you can clear stuff pretty quick, like the Cursed Chests or the Cursed Shrines that are on timers. You get your fetishes out there, you throw down the Voodoo Slam Dance, and holy shit, will you clear that in no time. Those little furnace vents suck, by the way. Now, as you can see here, I'm running through and I'm having trouble finding groups to spam my fetishes, to get my fetishes out there, let alone get the meter to go up quickly enough. Yeah, another little goblin there. But we're almost done. We're probably sitting at 90%. And that meter is going to hit 100 and spawn a Nephalem Guardian. And that Nephalem Guardian is going to die fairly quickly. I had to like step aside when it spawned, out of its reach, out of its range. So he didn't know I was there, so I could just spam my fire bats. So I could try to get enough little fetishes out there to properly show you what Big Bad Voodoo with Slam Dance does, along with all my fetishes being procced and out there. This particular realm, this level design here is very annoying to me. Like all these windy, twisty corridors and these blast furnaces that come out of nowhere and just drench you in fire. My reses right now are sitting probably around 1200 or so. So I'm not doing too bad on toughness. I'm at about 7 mil toughness. 5,000 healing with this particular build. And we got ourselves an elite pack here, Arcane, Frozen. We got our fetishes out and they're clearing shit up. You can kind of stand there and just spam your fire bats. The fire bats do a lot of damage, even though you're kind of sacrificing a bit of it for using Vampire. They still do quite a bit of damage to basic creatures. I think you still hear my voice quiet in the background. God, I suck. The only reason I think Spirit Walk could be good is if your toughness is low. Here I am talking about Spirit Walk that I already covered. There's the conduit. Now we're going to click the conduit and we're just going to run around. This is a good part where Spirit Walk would come into play quite well. But I chose to opt out of Spirit Walk and stick with Firebomb so I could proc more fetishes. and hit stumps and bone piles and whatnot. It just doesn't make sense to run up to a bone pile and blast a 225 mana cost spell just to bust it open for the chance, for like the 1% chance legendary is going to pop out of it, you know what I mean? So we're just about done. The Rift Guardian just spawned there, you can see on the map. So I run over here, I try to spam my fire bats as much as possible, and you're going to see these little fetishes pop up. As proof too, you don't have to like keep clicking the fire bats for it to actually proc. You just hold it down, and every time it casts, 5% chance for one of those little guys to pop up. One of those little ankle biters there. Those knives are bigger than them. Those guys are awesome. So I got about 6 here, and I'll run in, I'll slam down my voodoo, and just spam fire bats in hopes that more little guys will pop up. And his health is going down pretty fast for a Rift Guardian, believe it or not. It could go faster if I sat over there and got, you know, double the amount out. The guy would already be dead. But I can kill the Skeleton King in T1, and I got a legendary off of that. I can kill the Skeleton King on T1 in about 20 seconds with this build, which isn't bad at all. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna right click this, try to identify it. And the fucking tornado fucks up the identification process. So we're going to ID it, and we're going to see what it is, and it's going to be poop. It's a nail biter. The white damage is okay, but everything else is on here is pretty much shit. So I'm going to end up salvaging that, using it as a, not a blood shard, what am I thinking of? What the fuck am I thinking of? I don't know. But thanks for watching the video. If you enjoyed, hit the like button below. Subscribe if you haven't. Check me out on Twitch. Hit the follow button there. Forgotten Soul, that's what it was. Forgotten Soul. Follow me there, and I'll catch you guys later. Take care.